Hey everyone, Evan the Paramedic Coach. I am back here with our next podcast episode. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to train a brand new EMT. Now, this could be a brand new EMT student, or this could be a brand new EMT entering your ambulance service. Whether you're a training officer, or maybe you're just a seasoned EMT or paramedic, or you're at a new position in your company where you got to start training students, training new employees. I got your back. I'm going to share with you in this podcast how I took an EMT, a new hire EMT, who was struggling greatly. First came into the company, wasn't even aware of how to change oxygen tanks, had no idea, was struggling with skills. And you will find this with EMTs that are fresh out of school. It's to be expected. They don't have a lot of experience. That's why you need to know how to train them, because very soon we know that people get cleared very fast in EMS. Very soon they're going to be on a two-man crew in the ambulance. So you as a training instructor, or you as a preceptor, or doing clinicals or whatever, you have a very important role. So let me help you out with this. So here is a scenario, and I'll share with you how I came up with this whole plan. So I'm working at this point, I've been a paramedic for a few years at an ambulance service. And every few months you would get new partners. So for this one particular shift, I had a new partner, and it was actually someone who just got cleared. Meaning they actually got cleared to be a two-man crew in the ambulance. The new recruit EMT comes to me. Now, and this EMT is certified, obviously, and is supposed to be cleared, right? Cleared meaning they know how to operate all the equipment and they've passed their, company training. Comes to me and goes, Evan, just so you know, this is my first day cleared, and how do you change the main oxygen? A lot of people that maybe have a negative mindset would have, I'm gonna show this. We have to get out of this mindset in EMS. Instead of torturing new recruits and new students, we need to train them and raise them up. This actually was one of my main motivations for starting Paramedic Coach. Not only was to train and teach, but be a positive light, a positive vibe in EMS. This is one of the first things that I thought about when I started this whole brand years ago. So I go to him and I say, look, I got your back. I'm going to show you how to change the main oxygen. I was checking my equipment. We haven't started shift yet. We're just checking our equipment. So I'm going to show you how to change the main O2. And then going to show you how to change the spare O2, even if you know how to do it. Then, after I'm done checking my equipment, and we're about to get off and start our shift, I want you to tell me, is there anything else that you are uncomfortable with, equipment-wise? And I'm going to put you through a little training today. At this point, we're just partners. I'm not his training officer. I'm not supposed to be training him. I'm not getting paid to train him. But I know that he's my new partner in the ambulance. And he has to be the best he can be for us to work as a team with patient care. EMS is not an individual sport. It's a team sport. So this is the training plan that I went through with this EMT who was very much struggling. And I'll share with you that this EMT, just a few years later, ended up becoming a cleared paramedic at that same company, which is really, really fantastic, right? So, and it all started with this positive interaction and this training, and I'm going to share it with you right now. So the first thing I did with this new EMT is I took him in the back of the ambulance, and I wanted to make sure that his basic life support, his EMT level skills were up to par. So we literally, we did this in between calls, of course. In between calls, we'd go in the back of the ambulance and we just start pulling out equipment. And I would say, hey, are you comfortable with this? Are you familiar with this? When we went through first all the equipment in the ambulance, that was number one. So all of the EMT level equipment, went through all of it together. That was the first thing that we did. I wanted to make sure he was comfortable, with bandaging, with the oxygen equipment, how to use the oxygen. Again, changing the main O2, checking the oil, managing the lights. How is he with driving, backing up. All of the EMT level stuff I want to knock out first. CPAP, right? I wanted to make sure he was familiar with all that. Blood glucose. Once I was assured that he was squared away with that, what I then did is I started to train him to assist me as the paramedic. So what I did there was walk him through it. For example, we're talking about CPAP, but CPAP, how to set up NREMT. I went through everything I carry in the heart monitor, and then also everything that's in the paramedic jump bag. When you're going through and you're training an EMT on, hey, here's my box of medications, right? What I would do is just say, hey, look, here's metoprolol. This is low pressure. This is for patients that have a high heart rate and we want to bring it down. That's how you start. First, we got to know what the med is, what's the name, and what it is. They don't have to know everything, of course. They're not the paramedic, but they want to have an awareness level of, okay, this patient has a high heart rate. Maybe Evan wants adenosine. Maybe he wants low pressure. Maybe he wants diltiazem. Maybe we're going to shock this patient. If they're aware of that, they can assist you. Maybe they put the pads on while you're getting an IV. You get where I'm going with this? So these are things that we want to do. The other thing I went through was the IV kit. Just showing him, hey, these needles are for intramuscular. These are IV. Here's how I usually set it up. Here's how to set up an IV lock. Here's how to set up an IV bag. These are a lot of the skills that anytime I had a new EMT partner, I would train them on, which would be setting up an IV bag, setting up a lock, going through all the oxygen supplies, again, going through all the ambulance equipment. You'll find that new EMTs, because school is so accelerated, basically in EMT school, the instructor is just trying to get the student to pass NREMT. Then the real fun begins. But then that's where you are, either as the partner of this new person, or again, the clinical, preceptor, or you're a training officer at your company, right? So where you come in, it's so important because after they're done with the little training with you, they're going to be on their own and part of a two-person crew in the ambulance. So this is very important. The biggest thing that I stress is having an open air discussion, open air environment. Again, the first thing I say to anyone is, are you nervous about any piece of equipment? If you are, I want to start there. Is there anything that you don't know how to do, or in EMT school you never got trained on, but you see it here and you have no idea how to use it? Don't assume that they know everything, because they don't. They're brand new. And I would share with you and remind you, don't sit on your high horse. I'm not sitting on my high horse as the paramedic coach. What I'm saying to you is, do you remember how it is to be new? I remember how it was to be 19 years old and be brand new in EMS. I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything, right? So, you got to remember where you start from, where you came from, because that's where they are now. So, and I find that, a lot of paramedics especially struggle with that because they've been doing it for so long. Never forget where you came from. And again, train them up if they're behind. You don't need to scold people and make them feel terrible. Stop doing that. If that's you, you don't need to do that, okay? Bring them up and train them up, and that's what I do here at Paramedic Coach. The next piece that we worked on was writing run forms and narratives. So writing run forms, narratives, driving is definitely obviously a big part of being an EMT. So I would, constantly show that partner my run forms and say, hey, here's my narrative. Here's why I wrote it. Or if we had a crazy call, here's why I did what I did, and kind of break it down. Another thing that's very overlooked is something called the pre-call talk. So instead of, just jibber jabbing about, what's going on in the world around you before going to the 911 call, with this student, we would take it like, almost like a training course and be like, hey, or go into a lights and sirens, chest pain, difficulty breathing. What might this be? And we started talking about it. We started discussing, what equipment we're going to bring in onto the call. You should be doing this with your partners either way, anyway. But I really stressed it, an overdrive with this student here, this partner here, because he was new and he needed to get that experience. So this is the training ground and the open discussion I hope that you have when you have a new recruit, when you have a new EMT student. I hope that you walk him through this. And the biggest thing that I can stress on as a takeaway here, make sure they're confident with their skills, make sure they're confident with the equipment, and make sure they're confident and there's a positive atmosphere for you to discuss with them and be real with each other. We all make mistakes. The better we train when people are new, the better the EMS service is, the better the community is protected, and the better we are in EMS as a whole. I'll see you in the next one. Now, a lot of you asked in the comments about how to prepare for school, how to get through school, and how to pass NREMT. The first link in the description is a study tool that I give to all my students to accomplish all of that. It's called the Video Vault. Inside the Video Vault is over 480 videos of content, audio files, worksheets, practice quizzes, our community group. What I do in the Video Vault is take all the concepts you need to know to pass school at NREMT, and I break them down simply for you, so that way you just follow along with the videos, you follow the study plan, and you pass. I give my students lifetime access in the first link in the description, and I'll see you on the inside.